YTPC, good morning. Today is October the 30th. We are one day away from Halloweeny. Been contemplating on whether I want to do a video on this or not. And I decided to do it. Obviously, because we're here, right? This here story is a Halloweeny story. It's GhostCob's ghost story. I wanted to wait until it was dark out and all, but man, oh day, it's been getting cold here, son. It has been getting cold. It was 41 degrees this morning when I was going to come out and shoot the video. I was going to pull a 2 o'clock pipe on the porch there, Onion. I was going to pull one off, but I decided not to because it was just too cold, man. It was just too cold. So, first we'll get the housekeeping out of the way. Smoking my walnut devil lance with the purple stem, aka the Joker. And in this monstrous beast, some sweet cast by H&H. Today's tamper is none other than Pete. Pete likes a good ghost story, so he decided to come out and join us. And of course, I'm gonna go using my Buddy Grows lighter. So, the story here takes place in Rhode Island, home of Mrs. Cobb. In a small little town called Exeter. Now, a little bit about Rhode Island. You can literally drive across the state of Rhode Island in 15 minutes, barring no traffic. From one end of the state to the other. Barring no traffic. Now, this here is to be known as the most haunted cemetery in Rhode Island. It is about a family. The last name was the Browns. This is the story of Mercy Brown. Having a cup of mud, by the way. So Mercy was born in 1873 to a couple by the names of George and Mary. They had 3 daughters. They had a Mary Olive, and a Mercy. And they had a son named Edwin. Well, tuberculosis was a very popular killer back in those days. And there were multiple cases in 1893. You know, there was multiple cases in the family itself. The mother had contracted it and died in 1883. So, it wasn't long after that that the first daughter passed away from it in 1891. That was Mary Olive. And then the other daughter, Mary, died somewhere in the mix there. I'm not exactly sure when she passed. But And then it wasn't very long after Mary Olive had contracted the disease and passed away in 1891 that that Mercy and Edwin contracted the disease. So then Mercy, of course, passed away in January of 1892. Well, I guess it was odd for that many members of one family to die of supposedly the same thing. So the town thought that there was something more to it. So they convinced the father George, to let them exhume the bodies of these family members to see. Because they were convinced that there was something else going on. So they exhumed 3 bodies. They exhumed the mother, Mary Olive, and they were both showing a lot of signs of decomposing. The decomposing process was definitely starting amongst those 2 bodies. Now, mind you, this was actually, the date was March 17th, 1892. Which, this is where it gets odd on me, okay? This is where I don't quite, this doesn't all sit right with me, okay? So this is March 17th of 1892 that they dig up these bodies, okay? So they exhume them with George's permission. The mother and the daughter are showing pure signs of decomposing. Well, then they dig up Mercy. Mercy's body looks like it was just put into the ground. It was. January. She was only in the ground like not even 2 months. You know what I mean? So, and at that time of the year, it's freezing cold up there. So, the decomposing is not going to happen. You know, you have to realize that in hindsight, the other bodies had a couple of years throughout the full seasons in the ground, where Mercy literally only had like 2 months in the ground. So, when they dug Mercy up, you know, the town was there, the doctor was there, the town doctor was there, the town newspaper person was there, of course, you know. And Mercy had shown no signs of decomposing. So they were convinced that this was something of the undead. They swore her to be a vampire. Now, I have not been able to find anything of what they actually done to her before they put her back in the ground, but I know they put a stake in her heart. I do not know if they beheaded her or not, but they did everything they could that they knew in their heads to do to prevent her as a vampire from rising from the dead and killing them, coming back to get the village people. Okay. Now, so they put her back into the ground and they reburied her. So now, you know, 100 years later, over 100 years later now, folks go there a lot. And it has been rumored that a lot of people see her. Now, they say that you go there, you visit with her, you talk to her, and then you get back in your car. And when you get back in your car and you leave, if you look in the rearview mirror, you'll see her. She'll walk towards you and follow you out the cemetery to like make sure you leave almost. It's weird. Okay? Now, this is where my skin crawls, folks. So Christy knows that I'm a history buff. Okay? So she takes me to this cemetery in Exeter, Rhode Island. We go up there to visit her family, and that's what we do. So we go up there, and we go visit Mercy. Now, mind you, at this time, this was when we first got together, so I had only had my knee scoped at that point. My knees were going bad, but I still had both full knees. So I was still in really good condition. So we park in the parking lot and we walk across the cemetery. Because I like walking through cemeteries. I grew up in a cemetery. I enjoy that stuff. So we walk through there. And lo and behold, there's her grave. So we stand there for a little bit, and we visit with her, and I read the her stone. Has Mercy Brown, died January 1892, 19 years old, daughter of, I think it says, or daughter of George and Mary, I think is what it says on the stone, if I remember correctly. I'll have to look up a picture of the stone and put it on the thumbnail and stuff like that. So, we're standing there. Now, mind you, she's buried in the back, okay? She's buried not like when you go into the cemetery where you park. If you go left, you can go up the whole way back a good bit, probably about 100 yards maybe, and then 150 yards. And then there's a stone wall that goes completely around it, and there's woods behind it. And then if you go straight from where we parked, about 100 yards, about 150 yards, you walk in, and you got yourself the rest of the stone wall and more woods. So we're visiting with Mercy. All of a sudden, I hear branches breaking. Now, mind you, this is during the day. I hear branches breaking, like a deer or something's walking through the woods. As a hillbilly, that's the first thing that popped in my head. It was a deer, walking through the woods. So I kind of looked up, and I was looking for deer, and I didn't see anything. I was like, all right. And then it got closer and closer, and you could hear it almost like it was picking up pace. And as I listened, I realized that it wasn't you weren't hearing four paws hit the ground. It was two. And then I looked up out of the corner of my eye. I looked straight ahead of me, and then out of my peripheral vision, I seen something white coming towards the cemetery. Let me tell you what, son. Woo-wee! You want to talk about somebody getting scared. Holy cow. Boy, I'll tell you what, I ran. I didn't run right away, but boy, I'll tell you what, I stood there for a minute or two, and I looked around, and I looked up, and I looked over there, and I seen her. And she had her head down. She had long hair, like shoulder length hair. She had her head down, and she was walking with a purpose. And let me tell you what, son, I turned my happy ass around, and I hauled the mail towards the truck. I told Christy, I said, let's go. She says, what? I said, let's go. And I started to go. And she was like coming behind me then. And she was like, what? And I'm like, Mercy is in the woods behind it, coming towards her grave. And I'll tell you what, we didn't waste any time walking back to that truck. We got back to that truck, and boy, I tell you what, that thing got put in reverse and got put into drive quick. I didn't look back in the mirrors. I didn't want to look back in the mirrors, because the last thing I wanted to see was somebody freaking standing there, you know, at the back of the truck. So, that's my ghost story for this year. I hope y'all enjoyed it. If you ever get to Rhode Island, Exeter, Rhode Island, be sure to stop in that cemetery and visit old Mercy. And remember, when you leave, look in your rearview mirror. She'll be with you until we can get together and pack a pipe or smoke a good cigar. Let all what you do be done in love. You go take care and God bless. Happy Halloween.